Hi guys, today we'll use Playwright and HTMX to write some end-to-end tests. So let's get straight into it. To write these tests, we'll use HTMX app that I wrote some time ago and made video about that. So check that out. But to recap what it is doing, let's actually run it and see what it can, what we'll test there. So we have some Wisdom HTMX app, and this is application wrote in Node and HTMX, and we'll run it in Docker, which I have prepared script for. So we do npm run build, run Docker for end-to-end tests. We'll get also to the profile in a while. So we have it on your machine. It will probably take longer because I have everything cached. Okay, so we go to the host and we have a login screen there. And what we'll test is a few cases on this page. So if you do this, for example, we have a name error with the password also. Password error, there are some requirements for that. So we test end-to-end that it works as expected. Also the sign-in button is disabled right now. And if we do something like that, which is non-existent user, we will get error in modal, and we also test that. And if we go with valid user, we are on the home page. We also test that we are on the home page, that we are on the home page for the specific user, and that we can search for authors. Basically, we also have some prepared attributes to make our testing easier. So things like where it is? Things like actually that data test ID, search results, and we also have data test ID for items. It will be clear in a while what it can do. And if you click one author, we are on the authors page, and we'll also test that we can go get there. Alright guys, so let's get to our code. Here we have our app in Docker, and here we are in the directory with the end-to-end tests for this app. So here we also have package.json, TypeScript project. So we need to install dependencies from the package.json. I had them, so it is faster. And one thing also you need to run is npx playwright dependencies. I believe not. It was npx playwright install. Okay, and it will install a few dependencies, mainly browsers, which the test will be run on. So it can take a while. So while it is running, let's see what we have here in our end-to-end tests project. So we have a config file, and how we get to this app URL is the URL of our HTMX app. We have test directory, a few things, so like a few things that are not that important for this presentation, but basically whether you should run test parallel, whether you should retry, output format of the report. Here we have URL for our app, so we can use relative URLs, and here we have a few project setups. This for authentication, and we have a few browser setup here also, and we also have command to run our app before tests, but we already started it in the Docker container. Okay, but we have installed the dep, so we can run the tests, but let's get through a few things first. So basically we have homepage spec. This will be for homepage, for the homepage page that we test. So you have tests for this page here, similarly for the sign-in page, and we also have setup for authentication. We got this, and we also have some utils in the support folder, and for more important things we have test data file where we have test data for our tests. They are hard-coded, and can be because, as I've mentioned, we are running our app that we test with the end-to-end tests profile. And what this profile does is that it starts up with this data that we have in this folder, end-to-end tests db. We have one user. This is just password 1, base 64 encoded, and we have a few authors, the same ones that we have in test data file basically. And if you are curious, you can go to the code of some Wisdom HTMX app, and somewhere in sources in app at the top, I believe we are starting up and see that if we use the end-to-end tests profile, we are taking data from other file, from other directory, so we can rely on this data actually. So let's focus on the tests right now. So as we have installed the browsers, let's actually run all tests. So we do npx playwright tests, and let's see what will happen. Okay, so we are running 25 tests using 6 workers, which means that they are run in parallel. As you can see, they are run in the headless mode, so we didn't see anything, but our tests were actually run on a few browsers. So right now we can do we can show report, and that's quite nice. And here we can see tests from our 2 files. We have test cases here. Each of the tests case was run on 3 browsers, as we have set up in our config. So Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. And if we go to any of those, you can see some assertions here. It's not that clear what it does, but we get into that in the better format. So what we can do actually is do npx playwright tests, but in the UI mode. So let's do that, and here we can run tests, and I filtered out only Chromium tests, so only one browser, because we don't care right now for all browsers, we just want to see what is happening. So let's actually run sign-in page spec, so tests for sign-in page. Okay, and the nice thing about this is that we can see what exactly Playwright did with our page. So here we have, for example, a simple test where we line on sign-in page and see app title. So here we have a source code of our test, and we have a few assertions. So as you can see, we assert that we have title on the page, which is some Wisdom app, and also the header. So that's basically it. And as you can see, the Playwright was able to assert that these two assertions that we wrote were true. And we have a few more cases like that. So here we basically assert only that this button is disabled because the user needs to input some text here in the name and password field, and if not, we wanted it to be disabled. And we have also a case where we have invalid name and password, and we should see some errors. So as you can see, we start with asserting that we can't find the input with this text. So this is basically our element for errors. So we don't see anything here. Similarly for password. And if we input name and password, which is incomplete because we have other requirements, we assert that name was visible, password was visible, and then that the sign-in button should be also disabled. And we have a similar test for one step further, which is that we input correct user and name and password, but then we click sign button and we were able to see the modal with an error. And let's maybe go to the source code for sign-in page. It's the same as we saw. And what is interesting here maybe is that we clear storage, because we also have our setup, which is run before every of our test file. And here we basically log in. So we have our object that describes the sign-in page. We log in here. We go to the login page, which is just the root page. We assert that we actually were redirected to user sign in. Then we sign in, and signing in is just filling out the name and password input and clicking the sign in button, which should be enabled by this moment. And then we wait to be redirected to the home page, and we store cookies and local storage to this file. And what Playwright does, thanks to that setup, is all of our browser-based projects they depend on this setup, and they take storage state from this our file, which we populated here, and in every spec file we have this storage, which is cookies and local storage. We have our session there, because in our app we have session-based authentication. We can see what exactly we have in the file that Playwright is reusing. So we have cookies, just session ID, some value, some expiration, and other parameters like that. And actually we only need this to on the home page screen tests, because in the sign-in page we have cases where we are not signed in. We actually don't want to be signed in, but we try to. So that's why we clear those out. Okay, so with that in mind, let's maybe run the home page tests. We were re-authenticated because the setup is run before all test files. And what we have here, so we have a case where we should show homepage for signed in user. So here basically we check that we have the name of the signed user here visible, then that we have this header, then that we can see this suggestions text. That's basically it. Then we have a test case where we check pretty rigorously that we can actually search authors for arbitrary phrase. So here we actually get element by test ID, which I showed previously. That I think it was actually this input. Let's see. Oh, not this input, but this guy. Search results, because input, I believe we take the input by the name, as you can see. It's quite handy that you can see all the locators here, and locators in Playwright are basically the objects that help you to search for elements on the page. So here we got the search results by test ID, which is this guy. It should be hidden. Also the search results indicator should be hidden. Search results indicator is this guy. So we want it to be hidden before entering anything in the input. Here we have entered something in the input, which is F, and we assert that we can see the search result indicator, and we basically test that we were able to see two specific authors by actually their names. And we have a few cases basically like that. So a few phrases, we basically have phrases and list of authors that they match. And we do this all in one test case, and I believe at the end we check that if we enter non-existent phrase, we don't see anything, but we don't get authors, but we actually have there are no authors elements. See, so as we basically write all of these tests from the perspective of the user, what they would do. And the last test we have basically, we take one author, see that they are visible, we can click them, and then we are on the authors page, and that's it, guys. So in that way we have a home page, sign page tested, and these are really end-to-end tests, because as you can also remember, in HTMX approach we don't have front-end backend distinction, so we run the HTMX web app here locally. It uses real database, which is a file system in our case, but that's only why, because we decided to be that way, but it is in the exact same shape as you would deploy it somewhere to the users. So everything is the same as in the real app. So that's quite nice. And from other things that you can do with Playwright, you can obviously one test file. So you can do homepage. You can use just prefix, and you can also use run it on one browser like that. So here we run only 4 tests. Okay, and you can also run, I believe it is something like that, one specific test. So let's do that. Okay, it was not that. Oh yeah, test. Okay, and we are running 2 tests because our setup is also included as a test. So let's actually see. To see what happened, you can always run the show report thing actually. Yeah, authenticate and this one. And also we can, we were using the UI option, but you can also do, you can also run all tests in the hidden mode. So you can do something like that, hidden, and we will able to see what exactly is Playwright doing with our application in real time. But to make it more reliable, let's do workers 1. Which will mean that our tests will not run in parallel, and also let's run them on only one browser. Let's see. Yeah, so these are all cases in real time. As you can see, we are inputting things that we described. Playwright is doing that, making assertions. Right now, sign-in page. Yeah, and that's quite nice, I believe, guys. As you can see, the tests are pretty fast. We can run pretty detailed tests also, because with the, for example, with this one, with auto set by phrase, we were inputting something and then we are asserting that we see actually authors on the page and the specific elements. And the tests were run in the real environment that our app is designed to, so that's really important. Yeah, so I think that's it, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, keep going, stay awesome, and I see you in the next one. See ya!